I'm Elizabeth MacLeod, the author and illustrator of The Wild of Mystery Cards.
And I'm Sarah Sahota, and I'm a life artist from Victoria, British Columbia.
And we're here today, we're saying, what could we do that would be of service to everybody today? And how do we use the tools ahead of us and around us in every sort of aspect? How do we use those to find that out? So today we thought we would pull the Wild of Mystery cards again, and we will see what comes up as what would be in service for us to bring forward today in this episode.
Yeah, it's almost like you get to be with us in the cards. The cards get to ask a question that may be relevant for all of us.
And it shows you also how you can use the cards. So I'm hoping that in doing this, it gives you an idea of how to get support for yourself, how to find what you need, what to do when you need an answer, and when you don't know the answer or even the question, how can you even approach life or, you know, your guidance system. And with this, we have the oils and we have the malas and all sorts of different things that go with this, but we're going to start with the cards. So we're going to say, okay, so what's in service? And there's so many ways you can find out, you know, when we're doing cards, sometimes people say, well, how do you know which is the right one? Sometimes people fan it out. We seem to be fanning out, so I fanned it out. But for us, when we're talking about the cards, we all have a different way of choosing cards. So for me, I just put my hand over it. And when I first started, my middle finger would almost be like a dowser. And I never really understood it, but I went and I'd like, oh, I could feel it. And it was that finger that would guide me to the card. So that's for when I began of service, perhaps, maybe my body temple. So it's really, she was saying, we'll probably get the temple card.
We're probably going to pull the temple card.
And it did happen. So you see, even like, it's important to listen to what you're even thinking and talking, because the cards start to follow through with that, because we're working with different areas and aspects of ourselves. So that was in the beginning. I used my body and my finger as a place to find the card. What do you do? Let's pull a card for you. I'll put that one over there. And how do you find the right card?
So this is how I find the right card. I do this.
Okay.
And I put them all together. I shuffle it 3 times because we know me and I love threes.
Me and threes, yeah.
Love threes. So then I close my eyes and I do this.
And what is doing this?
I'm waiting for... I'm like moving them all through my fingers, you can see, and I use this finger to just kind of...
So it's your middle finger as well.
Is it? Oh, weird. I just kind of use that finger until it says like, an evolution.
Nice. So it's almost like your card, when you're doing the cards, you're moving them, and it's like an evolution through the cards.
Yeah.
For me, I use the body. Now, there's many other ways, too, you can use the cards. We're just looking at what's in service, so perhaps we're doing something a little bit different. The other thing you can do is, like, let's say you shuffle the cards, right? You can place it down. Some people will just go like this.
Yeah.
And then, oops. And
then one just jumps out at you.
See, that was a
like
total accident. Because
Yeah.
I was going to put it down and then I was going to pull the card from the top.
Yeah.
But no, what happened is one card just ended up, but you see it got caught on the, so that's the card.
Yeah, yeah.
So here, it's bliss. So when you're really following what you're supposed to do, you end up in that joy. You end up in the sitting room of your soul. And so that's also another way to pull the cards. And since we're doing it, why don't we do it in 4s? Just like, what's another way you would pull a card?
Oh, let me see.
I'm testing. I didn't, you know.
Sometimes I do this, and then I just, a lot of it is like I wait until I just hear like, that's it, or one feels different in my fingers. It's really hard to explain, actually. But, yeah, that's it.
Allowing. So she just allows it. So she's hard to explain. She's just allowing.
That explains it. So
it's sort of interesting. For some reason, I'm getting called to do this, and maybe it's a little complicated, but you can just see how the evolution of being in service to yourself can unfold for you. So what's kind of interesting is, let's say, okay, now we're in service. We have these 4, it's almost like the 4 corners of the elements. It's like earth, air, fire, water. It could be the 4 north, south, east, west.
Sometimes I choose past, present, future.
Past, present, future could be there, but here we have 4.
Yeah.
So past, present, future, and the unknown, maybe.
Yeah.
The unknown could be future too, but you know, wild card. But let's say we're going to pull one. So using our body is a way of being of service and allowing the evolution to occur. And when we allow that, we end up in bliss.
Oh, yeah.
So what could we do to find that service? So if you're with somebody, you can have them choose a card. So I'm just fanning out the cards.
Sometimes when I'm on the phone with clients, I say, I'm going to shuffle your cards and just say stop.
Okay.
That's fun.
Yes, that would be really fun.
Home.
So it brings you
brings you home.
So what's kind of interesting about this, and I think, can you see everything here? So this is the center. So what we were asking is how we are of service to ourselves. And one of the things that we wanted to show is different ways of being of service. So different ways of being of service, even with the cards and your guidance and the guards serving you. So there's many, many ways to choose a card or choose the kind of service that you want to bring. In this particular arena, these two were my cards. So mine's Temple and Bliss. Yours was Allowing and Evolution. When we put those two together for this episode, it brings us home. And it's kind of interesting to look at that because it's at sort of the center. The home is where your heart is. The home is where the home within the home of yourself. It's the universe. It's everything. If you follow your bliss, then you will come home. If you follow the temple, your body temple, you will arrive home. If you allow evolution to happen, you will arrive home. And if you allow, the big hard one, it's not an easy one to do. Sometimes it is, but in general, it's not so easy. If you can allow, really the whole trick about allowing, right, is getting out of the way. Yourself. Because if you can do that, then that's the hard part. That's really. But that brings you home. So when you're in service, I think the message that we're getting a little bit here, and there's many of them, but one of the messages that we're getting is when you're in service to yourself, if you're allowing these things to unfold the way they need to unfold, you will come home to yourself. And that is, of course, what service is all about. For yourself, we're doing it for somebody else.
It's interesting, right? Like, I love that. And of course, coming from my background, which is like being in your body, it's interesting because what it brings up for me is that, you know, I love the temple card, and I've been saying for a while, you know, our body is our temple, but the evolution of our bodies is our lifespan as women, especially, and the allowing them to be how they are brings us bliss. So it's the same body, mind, spirit, right? It's like when we come to the temple of our heart, the temple of our body, the temple of our soul, then there's the evolution of us as who we are as human beings. And then I also, like, I'm reminded of my own evolution. You know, I started life as the chubby kid, and I lost 100 pounds in my teens. And that was a very challenging evolution. And to allow myself to have bliss in the home of my body was the hardest work I had done in so long. Probably most of my life, other than losing my mom. Because I had to expand who I was and know myself completely new. And people who meet me...
Well, that's a whole new person. 100 pounds is a huge amount of weight.
It's totally... And people who didn't know me then are like... Oh yeah, there's Sarah. She's the healthy girl. She's the trainer. She's the really fit one. So I've come home to my new experience. I allowed my old experience of who I was, my old paradigm, to go. And to bring...
Well, you had to really do that in order to shed those pounds.
Oh, because it's as for those of us who have lost amounts of weight.
I've lost that over and over again.
Really?
Not 100 pounds, but if you add it all up, it's probably 500.
Interesting.
Well, you know, because you're always dieting and then coming back. And then it's like, then you gain a little weight, and then you're, you know, and then you lose the weight, and then you're good, and then you gain the weight, and that's my journey.
Exactly. Well, this is the evolution allowing, and like, this is so great that we picked these cards, right? Because our body is an evolution. You know, the ups, the downs, it's here, it's there, it's here, it's in all different places, and as we age, it moves around. And
our body is really what brings us to service.
Oh.
You know, it's like, for me, the body temple, like my body has been my pathway. So you're talking about it in terms of evolution in your body and dropping 100 pounds. Yeah, mine too. Like, my body speaks to me. And it's interesting how when we began this, it was sort of like my body was the sort of the thing that sort of told us where to go. So it's kind of interesting. All of that brings us home.
Yes, it sure does, doesn't it?
So when you're in service, think about where are you going? What's going to bring you home?
Well, because
what's going to bring you home to yourself?
Yeah, because really being in service is home.
It's exactly right.
And what this looks like or weighs, I other than if it's not in service to you or your life, really has nothing to do with you being in service, other than that you feel great and can give as much as you want to give to the world.
And so the message today is in being in service with yourself, do what it is that brings you home.
Yes.
And when you do that, all will evolve the way it needs to.
Oh,
Everything will be allowed. You will arrive in bliss, and your body temple will be sacred.
Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of a little twist around it, but just be of service. Come home to yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome. So thank you so much, and for joining us again. I'm thanking Sarah, too, because it was what a wonderful conversation. And we'll see you next time. Bye.